arms towards the sun. You feel the warmth of the rays, and then you know you're alive, and you don't have to be afraid of anything, 'cause you know the truth, and the truth is love, yes it is. Wasn't what they said to you, or anything that you learn from a book or from the news. It's not like that, 'cause it's a thing. It is something that you do.
Welcome to the Bassline, everyone. Albert Benavides is the founder, creator, and custodian of an incredibly important resource called VersAware.com. He was my guest on the Bassline episode 50. Joining us again to continue our discussion is a true champion of medical freedom, the Eagle, Albert Benavides. Welcome to the Bassline, Albert. How are you this morning, my brother?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Jeremiah.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you, my brother. I have to tell everyone that I got a chance to meet Albert. I don't know how long ago it was by now. This whole thing has been like a time warp since they ushered in this nightmare, and then we started fighting back. But I had an incredible experience in my own neighborhood in Harlem on 125th Street. There was a great children's health defense event outside, and there were a lot of great speakers there. And I got to meet Dr. Jim Thorpe, who's a former guest of this program, and Albert Benavides, and it was so great to meet these brothers. It's very inspiring to meet in person people who I've met online, people who I've spoken with over the phone, and I just got great vibes from Albert and from Dr. Thorpe, and it just brings you that much deeper into the struggle when you realize you're fighting alongside good folks. And that was a great event that day, and I hope there's more and more of that kind of thing where the public can overhear this conversation, because one of the first tricks that they pulled is to convince everyone this is something we're not supposed to talk about, and a lot of people have bought into that. We have a big event coming up, as a matter of fact, on June 28th in West Palm Beach, Florida. Maybe even my co-host and my friend Cece Blakeman, who's putting this event together, maybe she could even call in by the end of the show. Not sure if she's indisposed right now, but I would love for her to give us the complete announcement in terms of what you can do to donate, to possibly buy a ticket last second. If you are thinking about someplace to go, not this weekend, but next weekend, we have a great conference coming up. June 28th is a Saturday, West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm going to be co-hosting with Cece. There's going to be a lot of great speakers there, too many to list right now. And we're meeting in person. The movement is consolidating, you could say. We have lawyers there. We have medical freedom doctors. We have the vaccine injured. There's yours truly co-hosting with my friend Cece. So we're really looking forward to this. And, we can use all the support we can get in the form of spreading the word, possibly being a sponsor, or just making a nominal donation. And also, before we get into this discussion, I need to mention tomorrow, not Sunday this time, but tomorrow, we're having another 528 frequency jam at Rock Mill Fitness in Harlem. So that's 274 Lenox Avenue, and we're starting a little later this time. It's doors at 6 p.m. instead of 3:30. Normally we've done like an afternoon thing on Sundays. This time it's sort of a Saturday evening thing. But if you can, please join us tomorrow, 274 Lenox Avenue. You take the 2 or the 3 train to 125th. It's not even 1 block away. You just walk about a half block south, and you're right there at a lovely facility. Great folks, great environment, great training system. Actually, it's a fitness place that becomes sort of a de facto music venue for our 528 Healing Frequency Jam. So we'd love to see you out there, especially since this one was done with a little bit less time to promote, because I'm going to be at the conference the following weekend. And of course, to support this program, you can subscribe to my Substack. I'd appreciate that greatly. Be a paid subscriber if you can. If you can't, most certainly be a free subscriber. I don't put anything behind paywalls. I just ask people to support as well as they can. And of course, you can buy the theme song to this program or any number of other pieces of original music at JeremiahHosea.com, JeremiahHosea.com. And of course, you can buy a chess lesson for yourself or for a loved one. It's never too late to learn. RemoteLearningChess.com is my company. I teach chess literally every day. So if you're a beginner, I will teach you from scratch. No problem with that. If you know how to move the pieces, but you never learned any sort of tactics or opening theory or anything like that, let's get into it. It's a very fun game and actually a great investment in your health. A lot of people don't realize that, but chess is proven to improve brain health by firing up those neurotransmitters. So, of course, you get a Bassline discount if you sign up for a chess lesson or a package of lessons. I offer package deals. But all that stuff aside, we're going to get into this incredible conversation here with my friend Albert Benavides. Now, one thing that happens on this program is I learn about my guests through the interviews that I conduct on this program, and then I realize the importance of what they said after the fact. So I was honored and thrilled to have Mr. Benavides, codename Welcome the Eagle, on as a guest for episode 50. This is now Bassline episode 97. And one thing that I want to put out there for all of you guys, grab a pencil. Well, hopefully you already had a pencil to write down the address for tomorrow's show and the other things I mentioned. But if you didn't, grab a pencil and make sure you have this resource handy, VersAware.com. We have a guest here who founded this incredible online resource, and it's such an important thing that he's done. He's arming our movement with truth, and I just think it's so important. There's so many people out there with good ideas, with good hearts who want to do the right thing, and people who are doing things here and there, but I just think it's so important that we rally around the people who put in the extra effort, the people who give us institutions that we can benefit from, the people who complete articles, books, provide resources, people who do the legwork, like my previous guests, Ronald F. Owens Jr. and Julie Threet, or my friend John Bodwin, author of The Real CDC. I think we need to uplift those all-stars in our movement, and I would certainly include Albert Benavides as one of those all-stars, because VersAware.com is a very unique and particular thing, and if Albert didn't make this resource available to us, it wouldn't exist. So I hope you guys realize the importance of rallying around that kind of effort, and let's all have it in our minds to start spreading the word about this resource. Just text a link to your friend, VersAware.com. They don't even need an explanation. Just let them click on the link and see for themselves. So all that being said, my friend, Mr. Benavides, can you just give us a nice overview of your invention, which is VersAware.com? What could someone come across when they go to that site? How do they utilize it? How do we make use of your great resource as a community?
Oh, thank you, Jeremiah. Well, basically, I would start by saying it's a supplement to the official vaccine adverse events reporting system, also affectionately known as VAERS. Before me, there is currently a couple of groups, I guess, that have made the functionality easier to get to the data and to read the injury reports, the adverse events reports out of the CDC Wonder system, because it's really the native environment to go to the CDC's website and query the information to read the reports is pretty difficult. So before me, there is metalerts.org and openbears.com. Those are the two primary VAERS websites that make it a lot easier to jump into the system and query the reports. And so I consider VAERSaware.com as a supplement to those two. We all three of us, we download the new information that comes each month on the first Friday of the month. Whatever day that happens to drop on is the first Friday of the month. The CDC gives us new VAERS reports. So, and then we update our systems. So MetaLerts and OpenVAERS basically have parity with the Wonder system. And by parity, I mean that what you see is what you get. It's exactly the same data as you would get from the actual CDC website. Now, where I start to deviate from that is that, and in my analysis and auditing, I call it auditing because that's kind of what I did as a professional career as a HMO claims auditor, medical biller, medical billing company owner. You know, this is all right in my wheelhouse, all the same type of data. I've created an interactive dashboard in addition to being able to query the information. So that's something unique, and that's what keeps me relevant, I guess, is the interactive dashboard with filters and visualizations, bar graphs, and pie charts, and all that stuff. So, but what I've noticed in the auditing of the VAERS, I noticed that there were deaths that had happened, but they weren't being counted simply because the box, the event level box to check off, is the person dead, yes or no, is not checked off. And although it clearly says in the summary narrative, the free text part where a provider or a family member gets to write their paragraph or their page or their book of what actually happened, it clearly says that the person has passed away. But at the surface level, we'll call it submitter error, and they didn't check the box that the person died. So there's a lot of that goes on, and I simply call that undercoding, for a lack of a better term. And I realize that there's a lot of dead people in the VAERS system that they're not being counted for basically underreporting or submitter typo error. So because of that, what I started to do is I started to what I call ethically cleanse the data, ethically upcode the data where applicable. So I saw a lot of these reports. I see a lot of these reports where it says the person has a myocardial infarction, a heart attack, a pulmonary embolism, myocarditis, and they're not classified as serious adverse events because of the box is not checked off that, the person had a cardiac arrest, but the box for life-threatening or hospitalization was not checked off. So it all comes down to these magic boxes that you have to check off so that they basically get counted in the summary statistics that you might see on the internet. So because of that, that's where I say I kind of I'm very close to parity, matching with what the CDC says, but my numbers are always higher. I have more. I show more severe adverse events for anything: myocarditis, cardiac arrest, cerebral strokes, all of that stuff, only because I'm scraping through the reports, finding these reports that they're when they're basically not serious. I mean, a cardiac arrest and it's classified as not serious. It just gets lost in the shuffle. And I keep saying, wow, if you really read these reports, there's a lot more severe adverse events that are happening. And I'll kind of wrap up this part to the tune of 100,000 reports of the 1.6 million COVID reports that we have in the VAERS system currently. We're almost touching 1.7 million reports for COVID adverse events. Over 1 million of those are considered not serious because none of the boxes are checked off that it was an office visit or that they landed in the emergency or it was a hospitalization or it was life-threatening or a permanent disability or death. All these boxes that you get to check off. And you can, as a submitter, you can check off multiple boxes like I did for my uncle who had a cerebral stroke, and he landed in the ER, quickly had surgery to release the blood in his brain, was admitted, of course, into inpatient hospital, stayed there for like 2 weeks, and then he moved to a rehab for another 2 weeks. And my uncle left to go work out one day on a Wednesday morning, got this stroke at a 24-hour Nautilus at like 10 a.m. in the morning, and didn't return to his home for like a month later after he went through that whole ordeal. Well, in my report, I checked off all the appropriate boxes. Yep, he landed in the emergency. Yep, then he was at inpatient hospital. Yes, it was life-threatening. And yes, it was a disability, a permanent disability. I got to file the report like finally when he got back home a month later, and then 2 weeks after that, after I begged him, let me file the report. The man is not the same. He's on blood thinners now for indefinitely. But anyways, that's how I filed the report. And so what I'm saying is that there's over 100,000 reports that are serious adverse events that are basically going as not serious, therefore, AKA safe and effective. A safe and effective myocardial infarction, a safe and effective death. I mean, it's crazy to go into a little bit a deeper kind of a philosophy. It's like, hey, wait a minute. You mean in the 4 to 6 week rigorous authentication vetting process that the CDC has, at least on paper in their guidelines, it says if they have up to 4 to 6 weeks to authenticate a report that's received to make sure that it's not fake or false, to make sure that it's not a duplicate, they didn't already receive it from some other doctor. And they authenticate the report and go, yep, this is a legit report. We're going to finalize it and publish it. Well, they see all this stuff come in, and they basically allow the report to be published that way with, missing data, missing boxes that are not checked, like the person's dead. They see it's dead, but they didn't, the box that says that they're dead is unchecked. So they're not going to do any corrections is basically what I'm trying to say. And they allow those typos or those oversights to pass through into publication. So in my system, I basically ethically cleanse the data, and I apply the check boxes. Hey, this is a myocardial and this is a heart attack. This is definitely at least life-threatening. If there's documentation that the person was in the hospital, I might move it to hospitalization. With that, I never move anything to permanent disability because as a coder, as a billing person, I don't know that person had a permanent disability. I can't jump to that, conclusion or assumption. So, but I put a lot of things to a life-threatening event, pulmonary embolisms and embolisms of all sorts. I'll put them at a life-threatening event or something like that. So I'm doing all this upcoding, and Jeremiah, it really changes the complexity of the severe adverse events. It's like, oh my God, when you see it this way, you see that's the start of seeing how more severe these injuries really are.
Right.
So basically that's kind of the gist of my website, and that's how I differ. And one thing I know, and I'll give a shout out to Craig Party Cooper, who is the creator of howbadismybatch.com, where people can go to see how many severe adverse events there were against the vaccine that they took, based on the lot number. And I have that same search tool as well, and I'll just add that I go in and do my best to clean up the typos in the actual lot number. For instance, Moderna and Pfizer, they put out a very unique lot number structure. And so I can, spot a lot number and go, hey, that's not a Z, that should be a 2. Or that's not a I, that should be a 1. And, eliminate the special characters. There shouldn't be a dash in this one. Or, what is this little asterisk in here? They allow all that. The VAERS people allow all this type of typos to be
to persist.
To pass through without cleaning it up. So there needs to be a little bit of data cleanup. I mean, some people call it data modeling in the business, a little prep work. So you model the data, you kind of clean it up. And so my numbers, that's why I say use my VAERS Aware for your how bad is my batch or your toxic lot lookup. I call mine a toxic lot lookup, and just compare them. And then, because mine is a true interactive dashboard, you could then see, well, how many males and females were they? What state did they come from? How old were they? And so you could really drill down and see the minute detail clearly. And I just apply the skills that I've learned along the way as being a top level medical biller with 40 subordinate medical billers, and I'm keeping track of my team using these interactive dashboards, these kind of corporate level interactive dashboards, and trying to find the spot fires and jump in where I can help my subordinate team members. So I just applied all of the techniques that I've learned along the way, and I maintain this interactive dashboard for VAERS. And so, not to get too deep in the weeds, but I apart from the VAERS database, I have the UDRA Vigilance database. That's the European Union's version of VAERS. So that's like all of Europe, or the 24 countries that participate in the European Union. I have the FDA database. That's called. It's just like VAERS, but it's called FAERS with the F, and it's basically the same thing, but that's for all drugs. So that one's a huge database. That one's got like 30 million reports, and it has 2.7 million deaths. That's one thing I wanted to throw out there in the FDA's adverse events database. 30 million reports, 2.7 million deaths, and it goes back for like decades, a couple of decades. So I'm only interested in the ones for now, the ones from like 2020 and forward. And with that, there's something like 904,000 deaths, Jeremiah, from 2020 to 2025. That is a lot. I mean,
those are FDA records you're referring to there.
Yeah, those are FDA records. So I have a dashboard for that one, and I'm going back to update it so I could capture at least all those deaths, and as many reports as I can, and of course as many the COVID jabs. But I'm also looking at any other vaccines that I could scrape out of there, like the RSV vaccines and all the other ones. So I just a whole bunch of stuff at bearsaware.com, and I show things like I know you had asked me this question, but what was I seeing in there?
Well, yeah, I want to lead into this question a little bit, if you don't mind, in terms of you gave us a great overview there. So first of all, if you're listening to this program and you can pull up another window on your computer, or you can open up the internet, please go ahead right now and go to VAERSaware.com. That's VAERS aware.com. VAERSAWARE.com. VAERSaware.com. Open it up, take a look, scroll through while you're listening to the inventor of that site, the custodian of that site. Share the link to other people. Just say important resource and just let them open it up and take a look at it. And I'm coming to the conclusion that that's the attitude we really need to have as a medical freedom movement, is sort of like a basketball team hustling, passing the ball around, picking each other up off the floor. Whatever analogy you want to use, being invigorated about sharing these resources, supporting the effort of our medical freedom teammates, because it's just too much of a tendency that we allow just incredible efforts, brilliant work to just sit there in relative obscurity, right? It's senseless. We're not corporations in that manner who can just lease space in people's brains. We can't inundate people where you've seen the logo or you've heard the theme song incessantly. You watch a television program and you've seen all this symbolism and all these things to influence you as a consumer. We're not using those kind of mind control techniques. We're using word of mouth. So I really encourage all of you to do your best to uplift this program if you can, The Bassline. Please download these episodes. Please share them with other people. Download the episodes for posterity. You go to The Bassline, and that's 2 S's, so it's BASSLINE.podbean.com. And you can download every episode of this program. So The Bassline, my friend CeCe Blakeman's American Granddaughter podcast. Please go to Rumble right now. Become a follower of the American Granddaughter podcast, or I should say a subscriber. Please, like I said, go to VAERSaware.com. Please spread the word about therealcdc.com, so on and so forth. There's so many resources that are becoming available. We have my friend Harry Fisher. He has a book called Safe and Effective, talking about his experiences as a frontline paramedic since all of this has happened. So many folks putting in an extra effort, and now it's up to us as a medical freedom community to spread the word. But let me ask you, getting a little bit further into the weeds, as we were saying we might not do, but now is the time to get into the weeds, Mr. Benavides, in terms of you're looking at all of this data and you have a great understanding of it, a great familiarity of it. How would you describe some of the damage that's been done? Because, I mean, we can answer that from the perspective of our mutual friends, Dr. Thorpe and Dr. Biss, and what they see as OBGYNs. We could look at John Bodwin and his book, which goes to the record level source data that is being overlooked, that's being ignored. We can look at over 4,000 peer-reviewed papers now that are indicating the harms of these injections in all these different areas. But as someone who's very familiar with this data and is just looking over all of it, what are some of the things that jump out at you, and what are some of the things that you'd like to convey to the listening public who, of course, we haven't in general even looked at this stuff that you've looked at with such great detail?
Well, at the highest level, Jeremiah, I'm realizing how incomplete the data is in VAERS, and how the VAERS administrators must be allowing these oversights and typos and whatnot to pass through into publication. And just to give you a little deeper insight, I just mentioned there was close to 1.7 million reports for COVID jabs. A full 30% of the reports do not claim to be of unknown age. They don't know the age of the patient because the submitter didn't populate the age field. And when I read the reports, I see that the age of these unknown ages, the age is clearly documented in the summary narrative. So I populate the ages in my dashboard, and to the tune of 30% is over 500,000 reports. I beat that number down because I've found the ages properly documented, and I go populate. I beat it down to 8%, about 265,000 that I can't find, that the ages are simply not there, but the rest are. So I've found over 350,000 reports, where the age is there, and I go populate it. So now you get a better look at the ages of, who's having these injuries, and specifically kids. With that, just not having the ages, when you go and do a standard query from the websites that I mentioned or the CDC website, you ask for, show me all the dead kids from 0 to 17 years old, you're going to get 200. That's the number, 200 dead kids in VAERS. But because I find the ages, in mine, no, there's actually over 538 dead kids, more than double the amount that the regular person is going to query and get from the official website, simply because the age is not populated. So, 30%, Jeremiah, of all the reports don't have an age. Similarly, 30% of all the death reports, like 32% of all the death reports, they can't tell us what state it came from, whether it came from Texas, California, wherever. That's really hard to believe, especially like the location, the state location. When you look at all other reports that are not death, it's only, I say only, but it's still a horrible number. 16% do not have a state. Can't tell us what state it comes from. So, I think that's almost like it's almost like a riddle. How in the world that the ultimate, most severe event, death, the one that's supposedly most heavily scrutinized, followed up on, additional information is being requested, supposedly, in the standard operating procedure manual, vetting these reports. How can the missing state be more than double for a death report than it is for all the other ones? That begins to tell me, as an HMO claims auditor, that there's something else going on. And this is where I'll go out on a limb and I'll say I believe that the state location was there on submission. Some submitter, some hospital, someplace they submitted it. And then when it was in the possession of VAERS authenticating in the adjudication phase, it somehow got stripped out and then published as an unknown location.
I also recall you mentioning a failure to enter the vaccine type, right? Isn't there some lack of input regarding that? Someone got an injection. They're not sure which one. They just lined up, got injected. How does that happen?
Yep, absolutely. Some of it is understandable based on reading the report. The person says in the summary narrative, "Oh, my dad got a COVID jab. I don't know if it was the Moderna or the Pfizer."
Right.
But they select the wrong vax type. They could have selected the correct vax type and said it was COVID, and then select an unknown manufacturer under the correct vax type. But nobody's around to tell you these things. You just, as a submitter, you're doing the best you can, and you're like, well, I don't know. And you actually choose an unknown vax type, unknown manufacturer. And it's clearly documented there in the summary narrative that, at least maybe I know that it's a COVID jab, or it clearly says my mom had a Moderna. She died and had the Moderna. And they entered it in wrong. In my mind, I go back to the VAERS administrators and thinking, why couldn't the VAERS people do us a solid and at a managerial level, put in the right vax type for us, for we the people, so that we can get better informed consent. We could see the reports. They're not just all being dumped into unknown age, unknown state location, unknown vax type, like you're saying.
Yeah. So it's amazing how time flies. If you guys want to call in and talk to this gentleman, my friend Albert Benavides, code name Welcome the Eagle, you know the number to call, 888-874-4888, 888-874-4888. We'd love to hear from you. But in the meantime, can you tell us about your Substack? You have an outstanding Substack. You have thousands and thousands of subscribers because, you put out material that can't be found anywhere else in the world. You're right there at the cutting edge with all this coverage of VAERS. I'm looking at your Substack right now. So everyone, it's Welcome the Eagles Substack with an apostrophe S. Welcome the Eagles Substack. So please now open up your Substack app or go to substack.com, find Welcome the Eagle, and make sure to subscribe to that Substack. We have some great titles I'm seeing right here. Can you just give us an overview in terms of your approach to how you compile this Substack and what we can expect over there?
Yeah, well, basically, I try to stay pretty narrow avenue and stick to just VAERS. I don't like to opine on other things that I believe in or don't believe in, or arguments or debates. I just kind of stay in my lane of the VAERS stuff first off, and I basically just do my little auditing stuff, looking at the data, and so when the new data comes out each month, I'll put out like a summary of what's going on. What did we get in the new this month? How many deaths? How many? And then I'll give screen grabs of these graphs, and I'll go to the I'll definitely point out the other, all the inconsistencies. Well, we actually have another dead child that's basically hidden because they don't have an age, or just point out like, wow, Tennessee gave us half the deaths this month. How strange. I just keep track of VAERS like a hawk. So everything is very centric to the VAERS data. And then basically I have spread out with different pharmacovigilance systems like the V-Safe. So I'm on V-Safe like a hawk. That's the other one. So yeah, that's my Substack. And before I started Substack, I had a huge library in BitChute. After they kicked me off of YouTube, I found BitChute and I started making my videos. And then as kind of Substack, I guess Substack was around, but I finally said, man, I got to get on the Substack because so many people are there as well. And I got to do it simultaneously. It's just like more work, making a video. You got a Substack, you do videos, podcasts, how much work it is just to, just getting all this information out into all these various platforms. That's where the real work comes in. It's like, oh my God, I got to upload it. I got to upload this one video or this one article now to all these different places. So, yeah, I'm just a one-man show, but as most of us are. But you get fast at doing it. So
right.
I basically stay in the Substack, and then once I make the Substack, I kind of transfer it over, a lot of copy pasting over into the Twitter X environment using the article feature there, writing articles. So my stuff is there too at X, at Welcome the Eagle. That's my handle. And really searching anywhere, Jeremiah, for the word VAERS. Just go on a hunt for VAERS, and I'll pop up.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at some of these titles. One of the most important and unique analysis in VAERS history. This is proof that VAERS is not publishing on legitimate reports received. So, so many great titles here. VAERS fact: 13% of all flu shot deaths are also commingled with a COVID jab since 1990. Let's see. VAERS caught covering up myocarditis in the follow-up data, part 2, and many other signals. So this is just really intensive work. This is really important stuff. If Albert wasn't rolling up his sleeves doing this, it wouldn't exist. So again, I really ask that folks take a good look at this, spread the word about this. It's up to us, folks. We need to take a vigorous attitude about spreading this truth because, it's not going to go and bop people on the head. We need to spread the word manually. And I think we have on the line my good friend, my co-host, Cece Blakeman. Are you with us, Cece?
I am, and I got Shelly on here too.
Oh, that's so awesome. What's up, Shelly? So, can you give us the info that we need to follow up so people can look up our event and what's happening, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, June 28th? Where are we meeting? How can people support? How can people buy a ticket? How can people donate? Where do we find that information?
Sure. First, props out to Albert. I love his work. He's an amazing person, and this has done amazing things to help us move forward in this fight against medical tyranny. Our event is called the Truth Movement, Thrive in 25. It's in West Palm Beach, Florida, on the 28th of June. So it's not tomorrow, but the following Saturday. They can go to truththrive.com to get more information and get tickets. They're only $40. We have the best lineup of speakers I've ever seen. Just going to be epic. It's packed with information. We're solution-based, positive event. And then we're going to have some of the victims speak themselves because I don't think they get enough airtime. I'll let Shelley chime in here if she wants to. But we need to hear from them and what they're dealing with as well. But the Dr. Judy Mikovits and Warner Mendenhall and Ivan Raikland, and of course you and I are hosting it. Many attorneys, many doctors, scientists, independent journalists, activists. So anybody, any American citizen should come. You don't need to be particularly in this fight or have been affected by it to enjoy this conference because it is something that everybody needs to hear and get involved with so we can save our people and our country. Jill, do you have anything to add? I don't know if she's still on. Maybe she's not.
Maybe she got disconnected.
Yeah.
Well, our
anyway,
friend Hurricane Shelley, she's well known. She's an outspoken, vaccine-injured individual who, despite her injuries, has been incredibly courageous and persistent in speaking up for the vaccine-injured, which sadly includes herself. But, injured physically, but still very strong in spirit. And I'm very much looking forward to meeting Shelley, and I'm really glad that the vaccine injured are going to be speaking out in terms
of... she'll be on stage with Ernest, who lost his teenage son, and Lieutenant Colonel Doc Pete Chambers, who's injured himself. So, it's important to hear from the professionals, but it's extremely important to hear from the victims themselves because that's where you reach people's hearts. And, we're an emotional species, and sometimes people don't care about peer-reviewed papers or clinical studies, but they do care about when they hear their fellow human being so terribly injured and not getting the support that they need. So
exactly.
I definitely wanted to include them, the protocol, hospital protocol, and the vaccine-injured victims.
It's all connected, folks. It's not; these aren't separate groups. This is part of one big struggle, and I think we should always view it as that. We shouldn't divide ourselves. We should realize that the unity that we we benefit from when we contribute to that understanding that we're all in this struggle and we've been victimized from different angles, different points of view. But we have to unite and realize that we can't continue with this. We can't continue with medical tyranny. We can't continue with this violation of our bodily sovereignty. And we can't continue with liability protections for corporations that have felony backgrounds. We have another call on the line, but Cece, can you tell us that website one more time so everyone can?
Truththrive.com.
Truththrive.com. Please, I know it's a lot of info we're giving you here, but please partake in it, share it around. Truththrive.com.
If you can't come there, you can donate so we can help get some of the injured there that can't afford it themselves because they're not able to work. These events are very expensive to put on, but I would love to have extras so we can help people get there that want to come that can't afford it.
Right. And
buy them a ticket. Spend in $40 and buy somebody a ticket.
Yeah, that would be very nice if you did that. And Cece, I have to say, she's gone above and beyond. She's been working tirelessly to put this together. I mean, she's taken a huge thing on her shoulders, and I would really love if we as a truth community, a medical freedom community, can support that type of effort because she's gone above and beyond, like I said, to get this off the ground and to make this happen. So I commend you for that, Cece. I'll see you later on Stop the Shots.
All righty.
Have a great day, guys. We have Noel. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming, Cece.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to hear from you.
We have Noel from Brooklyn on the line. How's it
going?
Hi.
Long time no speak to Jeremiah.
Yeah, how you doing, brother? Great to hear from you.
Yes, good. I want to know, for VAERS Aware, has the author of this, has anybody ever used this in the court of law to back up, for example, why they didn't take it?
Great question.
I will say I don't think it's been used officially in the court of law. I know that we have
a dear friend of mine here in California, Julie Threet, who goes to all the board of supervisor meetings at each county. She's trying to hit each county in California, and she brings up the Bears Aware data and print it from my website there. I've co-authored with Dr. Thorpe, who's kept me around as a co-author on some of his peer-reviewed publications. So that's new for me. I've never done anything like that, and God bless Dr. Thorpe for letting me hang around and kind of be the VAERS expert and back up all the data, and I get to point out stuff to him like, hey, look at this, and he's always amazed at the data that I find, and then it spawns some peer-reviewed papers.
Very last thing, because I know there's other people here what is today, the 20th? I believe as of today, I'm still seeing commercials for New York State that they're still trying to push vaccines and saying about how it will help your immune system. That's a complete lie.
Wow.
What about natural immunity? Who are these doctors that are saying? Who are these people that they're paying off in our particular case in Albany, New York, or in Sacramento, or wherever? Who are they paying to say that it's okay?
Yeah, great question.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great question. Yeah, always great to hear from you, Noel. Noel, I'm sorry, I had a neighbor named Noel, but Noel, great to hear from you. And great question. I mean, for one, who's paying these people off, and how do you sleep at night being paid off, knowing you're injuring people's families, you're injuring people's children? I mean, it's so disturbing what we've witnessed here, the number of people injured, the number of people killed, and for people to just continually say, oh, well, nothing's perfect. Every medical product has some side effects, so we're just going to allow people to die by the thousands and say, oh, well, everything has some side effects. I mean, I can't believe the kind of zombie apocalypse that this has created. I say that we're in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, just like these crazy science fiction movies that you might have seen. We're in one of those movies. It might not have some of the special effects, but it's happening because yes, sir.
Jeremiah, I wanted to just put out there quickly before we end is that it's never too late to file your VAERS report, and I would love to help file your VAERS report if you haven't done so already. I think it's critically important that these reports get filed and published. I'm around to help. I got how-to videos as well to if you don't need me,
Are those on your Substack?
Yeah, and I'll do a better job of putting it out. It's on my BitChute and on my digging in there. If you just search the word "how to," I think you could find a couple of videos in my Substack. But the point is that it's not too late, and you should file your VAERS report. And even if you think that your report was filed, like your doctor said it was filed, be sure that you know what your VAERS ID is, because I've met a lot of people through Breon Dressen and React19.org that they come to find that their report was never either filed or never published because they were just simply told and they took it at face value that their report had been submitted and therefore published, but they've never seen their report in the system and come to find that it was never published, or it was published and then deleted for no apparent good reason. So I just throw that out there.
That's a great point, and I'm glad you raised that. We're almost out of time here, so just a couple quick reminders, announcements. Again, tomorrow we're doing our 5 to 8 frequency jam at Rock Mill Fitness, 274 Lenox Avenue. We have this great event coming up the following weekend in West Palm Beach, Florida, that we just discussed with my good friend Cece Blakeman. And, of course, versaware.com. Okay, we've had the discussions, and now it's time to start spreading the word. We have great resources. We have some great frontline fighters who are operating on different levels, different aspects of what's going on. We have medical freedom lawyers. We have the right docs of history. We have independent journalists such as myself, but we need the foot soldiers out there spreading the word, downloading the content, sharing the content, reaching out in the community. Create information sharing groups, folks. Think if there's a local chapter, is there a medical freedom organization in your neighborhood or city? Join it. If you don't have one, start one if you can. All these different types of things. But we're out of time. It's 2 p.m. and we got to wrap up for now. But I want to thank you. Welcome the Eagle, Albert Benavides.
Right on.
Thanks for joining me. Keep up the great work, my brother. And I'll talk to you soon. Everyone have a wonderful weekend and stay strong. Tune in
God
tonight.
bless you, Jeremiah.
You too,
God
my
bless you.
brother. You too. And we have actually special guest Dr. Henry Ely tonight on Stop the Shots. So if you haven't gotten down on X, please, we're doing Stop the Shots spaces every night. Let your voice be heard. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Peace and love, everyone.